Gamers all around the block. Today we're gonna do season 4 projected tier list. Now what does this mean? Well, season 4, aka the new patch that is coming with all the landmarks, is not in the game yet. I'm assuming it's coming around February 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. I gotta give a shout out to my boy J-Dog in the chat for suggesting this one. Very nice. And I wanted to make a video about a projected tier list, which is what I think will happen. And then we'll probably, a month into the new season, I'll make a tier list of, you know, where I kind of stand with the civs and how good they are and all that. But I want to, you know, just do some projections based on the changes, the maps, and so on and so forth. Although we do not know the new map pool, okay? We do not know the new map pool. So I am not going to consider like water maps, like full water maps like Mediterranean or Boulder Bay, because we don't know what the map pool is going to be for season 4. I'm going to assume some hybrid maps and open maps into this. And this is also assuming that the patch notes that we've received from the devs is the exact patch notes we're going to be playing with. So if some civ gets completely ruined and I put it high, well, that's not my problem. Alright, so with all that being said, another thing, this will not be like a civ tier list projection for like Golden League, because Golden League has its own rules. I'm going to be talking about, you know, obviously I'm making this one for you guys for ladder gameplay or just like normal gameplay, right? Now, I did say this civ tier list is for you guys. I don't mean that I'm making it for like bronze or gold or platinum, because I don't play there and I don't know what's OP or what's good there. I am making it, in my opinion, what the best civs are going to be. And if you're like, Lamau, in my league, that civ sucks. Well, that's because players suck there. So with that being said, the bottom civ probably in the next patch, I think I'm just gonna do 3 actually, fuck it. Probably one of the worst civs coming into the season 4 will be French. Why is that? Well, French are terrible on hybrid maps, they're terrible on full water maps, so if we have any full water maps, no bueno. Although they are getting the landmark change where they spawn free traders. Personally, I don't think this is going to be a thing. Other than that, in the new patch, they are getting some buffs to the College of Artillery. And they're also getting a Red Palace buff, where Red Palace gives the emplacement from the Red Palace to TCs and other keeps. This is nice, but French still has too many other problems, and it's a civ that's very, very reliant on harassing and attacking, and people are basically getting better and better at dealing with it. And as the time goes, I feel like the French attacking has been the same. No buffs, no nerfs, nothing. And other civs are getting buffs and changes to their other stuff, which in return they defend the French harassment and pushes with. So I just don't think it's going to be that good of a civ. It's an aggressive civ, but the problem is every other civ can be played aggressively, but they have other stuff to back it up. I think I also, in the last tier list that we did, which was like 2 months ago, I also put French at the bottom. So the changes they're getting are like cool, but they're not very good, in my opinion. At the top level, players don't play French too much. And the ones that do are kind of like experts in it, you know? So you don't see French too much. The next civ that we will be talking about is going to be Mongol. I think Mongol, and I might be wrong, I'm going off of memory. I think I put Mongol in A tier last time, which was again 2 months ago. A lot of things have changed. The Mongol trade has become more and more popular. The Mongol trade is you know, doable on open maps these days. Players have learned how to do it at the top level. You can do it at hybrid maps. You can tower rush on hybrid maps. It's very hard to get water control against Mongol on maps where like you both build a dock and you fish, because you can just kill the dock with spearmen and towers. And overall, I think if you're looking to play ladder, Mongol is probably one of the best civs, because it's a civ that puts pressure early very, very early, which, you know, it's a lot harder to defend something than to do it, in my opinion, in any RTS game. But compared to French, that is also an aggressive civ, Mongol has like a completely different way of being aggressive, I would say. And also, Mongol has a plan B, which is, you know, rushing castle into step readout or going for trade or whatever else. On top of that, Kurultai got a little buff where the healing, I think, is higher. It doesn't require Khan anymore to heal. And the radius of the healing, I think, is higher. I'm trying to remember the changes. And then they also got the Kaganat's Palace buff, where, if you don't know, it is now producing other civilization units. So it's producing Palace Guards, Warrior Monks from Rus, Warrior Knights from Rus, unique new unit, Trebuchet that has way more range than normal Trebuchets and more damage, and Nest of Bees, which, in my opinion, is not going to be like maybe not a balance concern, but it's definitely making the civ more fun to play. Poggers, Mongols. The next civ we will be talking about is going to be... I'm gonna go with Abbasid. I think Abbasid is going to be pretty good. I think it's hard even putting it in A tier because I feel like so many of the civs these days are really fucking good. But I'm gonna put it in A tier with a question mark, okay? Because Abbasid has a lot of changes in House of Wisdom, and I can see that Abbasid is played with Culture Wing that reduces the cost and the research time of your next age up, or all age ups. So your castle age up costs like 960 food and like 480 gold or something like that. So there's something that Abbasid meta can develop there, which might be pretty good and pretty interesting. Abbasid is decent on hybrid maps because we're cheaper docks. It's obviously good on open maps. But I would say it's a more defensive civ, and if it does get rolling, it's really good. Like I said, it feels weird putting it in A tier because I feel like it's really fucking good, but maybe we'll change it. We'll see. The next civ I will be talking about is Holy Roman Empire. I think HRE is pretty good. Other civs do a lot of things better than HRE, and HRE is very predictable in the way they play. I don't think it's a bad civ by any means, but it also did not receive a lot of changes. Mindwork got a little buff where your spearmen, horsemen, and knights have unique upgrades. That's to be left to see how much it will be used and how much people are going to be going for that. But overall, I think HRE is just, it's a good civ. It's not OP. It's, you know, it's a solid civ. You can play it anywhere, basically. You can play it full water maps, hybrid maps, open maps. Works anywhere, right? The next civ we'll be talking about is Malians. And this is going to be controversial, but I think Malians are probably the worst civ right now. Despite what the latter win rates tell you. When Farimba came to the light, if you will, I said in one of the tier lists that people are going to obviously play it and nobody knows how to deal with it. So Farimba was OP, Farimba was strong. And honestly, it felt like Malians countered every civ. But now, at the top level, people figure out how to deal with Malians, and actually nobody is playing them. Almost nobody is playing them. So the way to deal with Malians, if you need a quick tip, you gotta get your economy at least a 2 TC with most civs, and then literally just spam units, horsemen and archers, and you will be able to overwhelm Malians because they will simply not be able to produce as much as you will be able to. And the more javelin throwers they have, the worse they become because they start overkilling if they focus fire on the archers. And if they don't focus fire on the archers, then the javelins are hitting the horsemen, which is not ideal target. So it kind of went from 0 to hero, and now we're back to 0. And it's also not getting many changes next patch, if any, actually. I think the houses are getting a little HP buff, but that's about it. But overall, probably the worst civ, in my opinion, right now. And I would imagine you know, top level meta comes by faster than in lower leagues, because people in lower leagues play less, so it takes a bit longer to develop, or you know. And I think when people learn how to deal with Malians properly, the win rate will go down. But also, I've talked about this before, I think the real issue with Malians is not how good they are, it's that they're very easy to play, which if you're not, you know, if you're gold, diamond, platinum, whatever, or even low conquer, Malian is very good, because it takes so much more from your opponent to deal with it than it takes you to execute Malians properly. So yeah. Next civ we will be talking about is Rus. Now, I don't know exactly where Rus will land, to be honest. I know that we might be getting some more changes for Rus. I know some specifics, but I don't actually know specifics. That's the problem. I know some changes are coming, which I don't know where Rus will land. So that's going to be a question mark for me. In its current form, Rus is not that good, and Rus is probably the most map-dependent civ right now in the game. And the reason for that is because of hunting cabins. Hunting cabins play a huge role in your gameplay as Rus. So if you play on a map like Pit, hunting cabins are really good and they give you good amounts of gold. But if you play on Dry Arabia, hunting cabins are pretty shit. So I'm going to put it in B tier. It might get more changes. It might not. So I don't really know where to put Rus. I'm going to put them here for now. Unless they add something like OP to them, I think it will not be that great. And I hope I'm wrong, because I think Rus is fun to play. And it's also one of those, I feel like Rus is a lot harder to play than like these two civs. But it kind of gives same value, or maybe even less. So, yeah. The next civ we will be talking about is... next civ we'll be talking about is Ottoman. I think Ottomans are really good. I think they're kind of like... let me do this. Safe pick. Not great. And then... very good. Okay, how about that? Because I don't feel like Ottomans is necessarily worse than Mongol, because Ottoman actually counters Mongol. But I feel like these civs are just like, these are just not great, not nice readability. I know, listen, it's here you go. It says very good at the top. It says safe pick in the middle, and not great. There you go. I think, yeah, Ottomans are just very safe pick. I don't think it has any bad matchups in the game. It can do well against any civ. It even hard counters some of the civs. And it's the same thing with Abbasid and HRE. Like, these three civs, I don't feel like they counter anything, but they're just good overall, and you can pretty much play them on whatever map you want. And again, I think all three of them are great civs for climbing the ladder, because if you learn one of them really well, you won't really be like, oh, I'm playing against this civ, I guess I lose kind of thing. The next one we will be talking about is going to be China. I think China, you know, not much has changed, I think, in China, if anything. I think China is just very good. It's a very safe civ. It can boom, it can rush castle, it can even be aggressive and feudal with Chukinu. Its late game is good. It's China. The next civ we will be talking about is English, and I think English has been a top tier civ for a very long time at the top level. And with the recent changes, I think that this benefits players that kind of play English more kind of fluid, I guess, where you're constantly putting pressure, you're constantly attacking, you're in castle, you're continuing the aggression, because the King's Palace got HP buff. Then we also saw that the keep landmarks from English got also buffs. And the most important one was probably Council Hall, being able to make crossbows specifically, but also hand cannoneers. Making crossbows the moment you hit castle with no investments on wood is pretty big. And then obviously they got Abbey of Memes producing King now, which we will see how the meta develops. So that's another option to have. They obviously did get big nerfs into the late game from the farm gold income in attack speed, but I still think that English will probably be a top civ. It's great on water, great on hybrid maps, and great on open maps, same like China. And then the last but not least, we have Delhi. Now, I've played a lot of Delhi on PUP, and Delhi seems like it's going to be a really good civ. Now, how good, I'm not sure, because for those that don't know, Delhi is getting an upgrade in Compound of the Defender. So Compound of the Defender in Skirt patch that has no upgrades. You can't upgrade anything there. In the new patch, they are getting the upgrade from the keep inside of that landmark, where you can produce villagers out of keeps. This is the biggest change I think we've seen for a civ in a while, because and also they reduced the research time. So basically, as you're aging up to castle, you start mining stone. When you get castle, you research that immediately, you put down a couple of keeps, and you can instantly not only have keep, but you also produce villagers out of it. And this is insanely good. Insanely good. They also buffed some things for Delhi in Imperial. They gave a new unit to Delhi. The elephant with hand cannoneers, which is also actually really good. They buffed elephants. They buffed war elephants. They do so much fucking damage. They are cheaper, and both tower elephants and war elephants got new upgrades. Now, I do think that Delhi will probably be a really good civ. Now, there is one question mark where it might be into the mid tier instead of the top tier. And that is that the healing in combat has been nerfed 50%. So one of the strengths of Delhi right now is that you can take sacred sites, you can fight in feudal, and then you get to castle. The problem is, if the healing remains in the changes that are coming, a 50% reduced healing in combat is a fuck ton. And if that's the case, if players just learn to force Delhi to fight in feudal, it's going to be very hard to Delhi to actually get to castle while having sacred sites and an advantage. So you might see a different version of Delhi where you're playing more defensive, and then you're getting keeps and get a castle upgrade and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure how this one is going to turn out. It's definitely not here. It might be in between these two, and it's kind of like still left to be seen. It's going to depend a lot on that, how much impact the healing has. So obviously Delhi is not very good on water anything. Some hybrid maps can be okay for Delhi, but they're very good on land. But I'm going to put them in S tier. It has been a while since Delhi was S tier, and it's back at it, baby. I do think Delhi is probably going to be one of the most fun civs to play. Because I think elephants are just cool units, and we haven't had any elephant being made for like a year straight. So I love Delhi, and I hope it's gonna be good. But like I said, we will see if they manage to push from feudal to castle while having a a decent game where they don't just straight up die the moment they hit castle. Boom. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow Aussie Drongo right here, as it says. I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Gamers on YouTube, let me know what you think. And again, when the patch gets released, which is about a week or so from releasing this video, I will be playing a couple of weeks and then, making a new tier list of which civs are good. But my suspicion is going to be something like this. Unless we get more changes, then that's not my fault. Again, if you're watching YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Check him out on Twitch. I'm probably live right now because I stream 6 to 10 hours a day. And if you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.